Museveni, who has been in power since 1986, turned into an autocratic leader bent on silencing the opposition, changing the constitution, and suppressing the media in order to maintain a firm grip on his power. This only confirms that Uganda, like some other countries in the region, is slowly degenerating into a failed state. Currently, uncertainty looms with regard to where the country is heading. Rampant corruption, nepotism, tribalism in virtually all government institutions continues unabated. The judiciary lost its sanctity, and the police brutality, human rights violations is at its peak. More often, police and the Uganda People's Defense Force, that is the army, are unleashed on peaceful demonstrations, on groups of individuals conducting political activities, so long as they subscribe to the opposition. But the same police and the army take their time showing up in the case of an emergency. Tear gas has been imported in large quantities while hospitals still lack beds, equipment, and necessary drugs, majority of the schools being in the worst state with poor remuneration, to mention but a few. There is total lack of tolerance for divergent views, especially from the opposition and civil rights groups. No freedom of association whatsoever. Whatever is happening in Uganda in the political sphere is clear proof that absolute power does indeed corrupt. In 1980, Museveni lost his presidential bid. Museveni claimed that the elections were not free and fair. He didn't challenge the election results in any courts of law. He shunned court for violence and led a group of people into a guerrilla war that lasted for 5 years, leading to very many people being killed. There is no reason whatsoever to justify the killing of a single person, but close to 800,000 people lost their lives during the war that brought Museveni into power. This alone justifies Museveni didn't come to power because he was democratically elected, but rather captured power. Later, after the war, in the mid to late 1990s, Museveni was celebrated by the West as part of a new generation of African leaders, in a dramatic contrast with Idi Amin, against whom he had led an insurgency. On the 6th February 1981, when Museveni declared a civil war in Uganda, which was in Buganda region in the area known as Luwero Triangle, he was not liked by the people of that area because of his record of killing Ugandans when he was in the Uganda National Liberation Front government, which overthrew Idi Amin's government in April 1979. He then developed a strategy which they used in Tanzania to come and kill Ugandans in Uganda, then go back to Tanzania and put the blame to Idi Amin's government and the army. When they started the war in the Luwero Triangle, they physically went during the night in the Ugandan National Liberation Army uniforms, which was the Uganda government army, and attacked the people, killed as many as they could with the hoes and pangas, and in the morning they put the blame on the Ugandan army. By doing this, the people in the areas started to support them. This kind of killing went on and on until the war was finished in January 1986. And by the time, according to the records, over 800,000 people lost their lives. On the 26th of January 1986, Museveni declares himself president. Museveni's rule has been described as dictatorial. Dictatorial in the sense that it is just one person, Museveni and his henchmen, that possess absolute power without effective constitutional limitations. He rules by decree. Repression of political opponents, intimidation, murder, imprisonment, violence, and other human rights violations is the order of the day. Abiding by the rule of law procedures is a taboo in Museveni's world. Today in Uganda, there are symbolic elections. Museveni appoints the chairperson and its commissioners of the so-called Independent Electoral Commission, the same commission that organizes and mans the whole entire process that Museveni has participated in for 60 times. Before, during, and after these sham elections, many people have been arrested, many have been killed, many have lost their lives, properties, businesses, and their only crime is opposing Museveni's dictatorial rule. None of the Ugandan elections of the last 30 years have been found to be free and transparent. It has been using the police and the army to step on dissent, stepping on rights of the opposition during, before, and after elections, refusing to accredit election observers from the United States, European Union, arresting and detaining Ugandan election monitors, blocking social media, plus blocking the entire internet access in Uganda. It is in Uganda where they are safe houses, and their main duty is to detain and torture political opponents of Museveni into submission. The constitution of Uganda has been changed several times against the will of Ugandans to prolong Museveni's stay in power. In 2003, Museveni began his assault on the constitution with a view to deleting presidential term limits. Uganda previously had a constitutional limit in place, allowing a maximum term of office of 10 years, 2 5-year terms, and in 2005, Museveni influenced and facilitated the removal of term limits to prolong his stay. In 2017, he even sent his special forces into Uganda parliament to beat and arrest opposition members who were seriously against the removal of the presidential age limits. A series of protests, arrests, and violent episodes involving the security sector continued to reveal a level of instability in Uganda. In 2017, the lifting of presidential age limit was approved. Of recent, as of 2022, Museveni still wants to again change the constitution in his favor, against the will of Ugandans.